Good morning and welcome to yet another edition of YES101's Visual Radio. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Dithmini De Silva.
Newsfirst headline.
Election Commission to convene following Supreme Court ruling. International observers to monitor presidential election. Election Commission receives over 700 complaints. In news overseas, Bangladesh's interim government revoked Sheikh Hasina's diplomatic passport. And in cricket, England resumed play on day 3 at 259 for 6. The news in detail. The Election Commission is set to meet next Wednesday to deliberate on the Supreme Court's decision regarding the local government elections. Chairman of the Election Commission, R.M. Ratnayaka, says appropriate measures will be taken after thorough discussions. In a landmark decision, the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka yesterday ruled that the failure to hold the local government elections in 2023 constituted a violation of fundamental rights. It added that the impugned acts and omissions of the President, who is also the Minister of Finance, resulted in the infringement of fundamental rights due to arbitrary and unlawful conduct, which resulted in the non-holding of the local government elections. It added that impugned acts and omissions of the chairman and the members of the Election Commission who held office during the period of time relevant to these applications resulted in the infringement of the fundamental rights. They are Nimal Punshiheva, S.P. Divaratna, M.M. Mohammed, K.P.P. Patirana and P.S.M. Charles. The court acknowledged the severe economic crisis faced by the country, which was cited by the respondents as a reason for not providing funds for the elections. However, the court noted that the economic difficulties did not absolve the state of its responsibility to uphold fundamental rights. In more local news, the Election Commission has announced that representatives from 12 countries have been invited to observe the upcoming presidential election. Chairman R.M. Ratnayaka confirmed that countries such as India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan and the Maldives are among those participating. Ratnayaka stated that these international observers will provide a comprehensive report after monitoring all election activities, including the voting process. Additionally, election observers from the European Union have already arrived on the island to oversee the election. The chairman also mentioned that Commonwealth election observers and representatives from the Asian Election Observation Network will be visiting the island to observe the presidential election. In other local news, the Election Commission has reported receiving a total of 771 complaints related to the ongoing presidential election. Among these, 747 complaints pertain to violations of election laws, while one complaint involved acts of violence. In addition to the complaints received by the Election Commission, election observers have noted an increase in the misuse of state property in connection with the presidential election.
International news.
Bangladesh's interim government revoked the diplomatic passport of ousted Premier Sheikh Hasina after she fled a student-led uprising by helicopter to India earlier this month. The move to cancel Sheikh Hasina's documents leaves the former autocratic leader in potential limbo and comes on the same day that a United Nations team arrived in Dhaka to assess whether to investigate alleged human rights violations. More than 450 people were killed, many by police fire, during the weeks leading up to Sheikh Hasina's ouster as crowds stormed her official residence in Dhaka and ended her iron-fisted 15-year rule.
Sports news.
Today marks day 3 of the first test between touring Sri Lanka and England. Batting first, Sri Lanka were bowled out for 236 runs on day 1. England nudged ahead on day 2 at Old Trafford. Half-centuries from Harry Brook and Jamie Smith took the host to 259 for 6, an advantage of 23 runs after rain delayed the beginning of the day and bad light brought an early close. And with that, we wrap up this edition of YES101's Visual Radio. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Dithmini De Silva.